Good afternoon, this is Matthew Lindsay with Precision Home Group here in Anchorage, Alaska. Coming to you live like we do every day to talk to you about business, real estate, and life. So we're going through a series right now on commercial real estate. Now we started with an introduction on all different types of real estate. We talked about vacant land, we talked about industrial space, we talked about office space, we talked about retail, we talked about multifamily, mixed use, new developments, you name it, we covered that in our intro. So you can go back a couple videos if you're on our YouTube channel, go look for the commercial real estate. And then we went into retail. So we're starting off with retail. Now on Tuesday, we covered different types of retail. We talked about everything from, your big malls all the way down to maybe your mom and pop little side corner store, right? And everything in between. We talked about power centers, how it's different because it's a big development with a lot of different anchor stores, more of a spread out design, with much more smaller secondary tenants strewn throughout between those anchor stores. We talked about malls, how they're a bunch of different retail spaces under one roof. They could be indoor or outdoor. And then again, we talked about those small mom and pops. So we went through all the different types of retail. So today we're going to talk about some of the considerations you must have when looking for retail space if you're a user or if you're an investor looking for a great retail location that you can purchase as an investment and hope to bring in some quality tenants for that retail space. So much like our strategic analysis that we covered the other day, we must look at several different areas before we really move forward and decide this is a go or no-go decision. So we got to look at the site and location, the physical attributes of the property itself, right? So we've also got to look at legal. We got to look at, hey, does everything make sense for us? And so those are only two of them that we're going to focus on today. So first one being that site and location. So when I'm looking for a retail space to put either A, my business going into this as a user, or B, as an investor looking to purchase this, I need to do some research to see, hey, is this going to be good for that user? Is it going to be good for me as a user? And what do I do with that? So today with retail, we're talking about who's going to be my audience, who's going to be my customer, who's my client, right? So when we're doing that, we're looking for consumer income in that area. Now, if I'm a luxury brand, let's say I'm selling Maseratis, right? I'm not going to be putting a Maserati shop in a low-income neighborhood, right? It wouldn't make sense. They can't afford the product and people aren't going to be coming to my location to purchase that product. It wouldn't be wise for me to do that. Now, Maserati being a higher-end luxury vehicle, now that would be better in a more that'd be better in a place where consumer income is much larger, right? Where that income percentage is higher so that I can actually sell to people and people have the ability to purchase that item. So that's going to be the first thing. We're looking at consumer income. What types of products and services does this retail location, does this user sell, and what is the population around that location? Can they afford that product? Are they going to afford that product? We're also looking at population and households numbers. So we're going to be looking at density, right? Is there the population to service that store, that product, that service? Now there's a difference between population and number of households. So you could have populations, that's going to count everybody in that household. So you may have 5 people in one household, but that's only one household. So we're going to be looking at households, right? Because they're going to give us a better idea of income. So we can have more income in one household than one person in a population. We could have a husband, a wife, we could have partners, we could have children, we could have extended families staying inside that household. So you can see how the numbers can get skewed. We also have consumer expenditure percentages for that area. So every area, there's statistics ran on that. Hey, what are consumers spending their money on? How often do they go eat out versus stay in, have the groceries, and they cook themselves, right? So we're looking at that percentage. How often do they go out? We're also looking at what is their disposable income, and statistically, what areas do they spend that disposable income? Are they spending it mostly on entertainment? Are they spending it mostly on electronics? Are they spending it mostly on groceries? Are they spending it mostly on events? What are they spending their money on, and what percentages? And all these statistics are actually quite easy to pull. There's several systems out there. If you want more information on where to find these statistics, where to go to get these resources, reach out to me, send me a comment, send me a direct message, and I will gladly hook you up with those areas, with those sites to go find all these statistics. So we talked about the consumer income, we talked about the population and the household numbers. We also talked about the percentage of that consumer expenditure, right? So we're also looking at, hey, who's got to service these retail locations? You got employees in these locations, right? Is there a decent amount, is there a good pool for you to hire these employees? You can't run a business without employees, especially a retail location, so it's definitely a consideration as well. We're also looking for site location. Now, is this going to be near a highway, right? So you have mass transit coming in, you have site, you have people can drive by and see your signs consistently, right? Or are we going to be off the main thoroughfare and we're going to be more of a place people go to? They go because of the name brand, they go because of what you provide in service. So there's going to be some considerations in site. Are you going to create one big site where people want to come to, a center for retail? Or are you going off of drive-bys and traffic, easeability of getting in and out? We all see Starbucks, we all see all these different coffee shops and fast food locations on the sides of the road, right? Well, have you ever seen a fast food or a Starbucks on two different sides of a highway? They do that on purpose because when you look at consumer trends, people are much more likely to take a right turn into something, pick up their product, their coffee, their donut, and then take another right turn out to get back on the highway, right? Well, same is true on the other side of the highway. So that's why you can have two different stores, two different retail locations across the street from each other and be just as successful as each other because of the consumer trends and patterns, okay? So we're also looking at, so we're just talking about location, we're talking about competition, we talked about, one thing I want to talk about is being first to market. We all see maybe a Walmart and a Target, or a Fred Meyer's and a Sears. We all see all these department big box stores, right? A lot of the times, the first to the market gets the most market share, and therefore they become more successful. Now, we've seen these first to market also fail because they fail to adapt. So if you have a Walmart and a Target, they do offer different products, different services, but fairly similar. And so with that being said, they need to do things differently. Either bring more quality, more service, different ideas, different concepts. So the competition actually sparks better products and better service because of that. Last thing I want to talk about is more the legal perspective. One of the biggest considerations when looking for a site for retail, when looking for stuff like that, you must consider zoning and regulations. Can your store actually sell their goods, their services where they are? There's actually many towns that have clauses in their zoning that you cannot be a competing store. So much smaller towns, maybe some more remote locations. A lot in the states when their highways exit, we see locations where you have a big box store in that city. It's been there for a while. That store's been there for a while, and they've written into their zoning or regulations because of that store that they can't have any competing stores that's selling the same product. They can have complementary stores, to smaller tenants that sell services and goods that complement the big anchor store, but they can't have direct competition. So that's a zoning and regulation that you need to be made aware of, because you need to do all your research, have all those considerations in place before you pull the trigger, before you get that lease signed, before you move in and find out you can't sell anything. So these are just some of the considerations that you must keep in mind when looking as a user for retail space, and also as an investor to purchase retail space to be able to have a tenant and treat it as an investment. If you have any questions on this or would like more information on that, I would love to provide that to you. Go ahead, send me a direct message, drop a comment below, and I will definitely get back to you. Thanks for joining. I really appreciate you being here today. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and subscribe.